If you are trying to be chill and easygoing to keep a man, to get him to like you, you're actually doing the opposite, and you're going to be causing him to lose attraction for you, lose inspiration to take care of you, and ultimately push him away. Being the cool girl, being the good girl, being the easygoing girl, being the girl that is not sensitive, you're not emotionally affected by things, you're just playing it cool. It's one of the worst things that you can do. And if anyone has told you that this is what you're supposed to do to attract a man, be non-emotionally affected by the way that he shows up, they are giving you really bad advice. And in this video, I'm going to show you why this is such a problem, why this is so unhealthy, why it's actually teaching you to be more like a man, and why masculine men, healthy men, the kind of men that you actually want and need to take care of you in a relationship, why those men are not going to be attracted to it, and they're actually going to start to lose interest in you the more that you play it cool. Before we get into it, my name is Zach Rohde. I'm here to lead you into creating the relationship of your dreams, using your feminine energy and what I call feminine communication to inspire a man into cherishing you. So where did you learn the lesson that playing it cool, not showing your sensitivity, showing that you're not really emotionally affected, not rocking the boat? Where did you learn that's actually going to be a good thing? That's going to cause a man to stay more attracted to you. Typically, and they could come from different places, but typically where you learn this message is from experience. You learned by being more open, being more, we'll call it vulnerable, but it's not actually vulnerability. Sharing your feelings openly, sharing and showing that you're so sensitive, you're so emotionally affected. You tried doing that probably earlier in your life, maybe with a past boyfriend, maybe on past dates, and it didn't go very well. You got bad reactions. You got men who were defensive, who were deflective, who criticized you, who put it on you, who told you to stop being so sensitive, who told you that you need to deal with your feelings on your own. And you might have also gotten this message, by the way, in childhood from your parents. Most women do. Most little girls do. It's like, you just need to grow up. You need to stop being so sensitive. Stop having that temper tantrum. Be quiet. That's the message. And that's a painful message. That is a painful message for you to receive, of no matter what your age is. So you'll learn this message. You'll learn that we'll call it just being sensitive, okay? Learn that being sensitive and expressing your sensitivity is going to push away love. It's going to cause you to be abandoned, and it's going to cause you to experience bad reactions from a man. So when you learn that lesson, what are you going to do? Well, you're going to do the opposite, of course. That would be common sense. That would be very logical. It means you're capable of learning from experience. You'll learn, okay, I'm going to be less sensitive. I'm going to hide my heart. I'm going to downplay how sensitive I actually am. I'm not going to bring stuff to a man unless it's something really big that absolutely needs to be addressed. Oh, and this is what I got to do for a totally separate video, because this comes up all the time with my clients, is you learn to deal with and process all of your feelings alone so that you can present it on a golden platter in the most, logical and easy to digest kind of way. Because God forbid you're messy in any way. You're not presentable in some way, whatever that means. So you'll learn this message, and then you shift into these behaviors of being basically more contained. That's what it comes down to. Contained and less emotionally affected. You become more stoic. It's like, things just don't bother me. They just roll right off my chest. It's not a big deal. Everything's cool. I'm cool. I'm laid back. I'm easygoing about everything. And then you think that's what men want, that healthy masculine men want that. And to be fair, some men do, right? There are many emasculated men out there who are looking for a cool girl who is easygoing and not emotionally affected, so that they can basically get away with their crappy behavior and not look at themselves and not be responsible. Do you want one of those men? If you don't, then how you're behaving is irrelevant, right? You only want one type of man, I believe. I mean, if you don't want this type of man, then this is probably not the right channel for you. The kind of man that you want is a masculine man, specifically a devoted masculine man. That means a man whose masculine instinct is online, and he is wired to protect you and provide for you. I'm not just talking about financially. He just wants to take care of you. He wants to be in the caretaking role. He wants to make you feel special. He's the one that's giving you affection and time and making the plans, setting things up, leading the dynamic from start to finish, leading you into greater levels of connection, solving the problems that come up, the conflicts that come up. He's the proactive one because he's in the caretaking role, and you get to receive that and enjoy that. And he's emotionally centered the whole way through. Ideally, he's loving the whole way through. And he's making you feel amazing. He's creating that safety that you need so badly. So you need that kind of man, right? And even if you're in a relationship right now, if you're like listening to this, you're like, oh my God, well, I got to break up with my guy. He sounds really emasculated. He doesn't sound like that at all. Don't break up with him yet, because I can help you inspire him into being that kind of man. And I know this because I've worked with many women like you. I work with both single women and women in relationships, and we've helped show women how to inspire their man into stepping up, into taking charge, into being more devotional, into seeing a totally different side of him without him even knowing anything about what I teach, not knowing about polarity, not knowing about these gender roles. A man just shifts into that because you're able to activate a man's masculine instinct, which is the provider protector instinct. It's like, oh, it's all of a sudden, it's like, oh my, I just want to take care of this woman. I didn't feel that before, but now I really do. And by the way, my background, I come from Peter Panville. That's what I call my old self. I was a Peter Pan. I never wanted to grow up. I didn't know that was a man's instinct. That's the way a man should be showing up, that he's responsible for taking care of a woman. And so I found a woman who was really hyper independent, a woman who wasn't emotionally reactive, who was basically playing it cool a lot of the time and not showing her sensitive side, not showing how vulnerable she really is. So my wounds of not being a masculine man attracted her wounds of not being an open, I mean, she was sensitive, but she wasn't communicating that sensitivity, that vulnerability. That's the sensitive, vulnerable feminine woman. She wasn't showing up in that way, and she was more kind of self-control, like self-containment. We attracted each other, and things were good we were amazing for each other, but we were also wound mates at the same time. And our relationship was all right. We got married relatively quickly. It was a better marriage than most, but it was becoming more and more of a train wreck, especially when we had a child, our firstborn, our boy. And that was when her instinct came really online. She started her feminine instinct. She became a lot more emotional, needed me in a lot more ways, and my masculine instinct came on like 100% online. There was no more wanting to be a boy. It's like, I need to start leading. I want to take care of those under my care, which is my wife and my son. And I learned from this that I had been dropping the ball this entire time in my relationship. I was not being the kind of man that my wife needed me to be, even though she didn't fully realize it at the time, because her feminine instinct hadn't been fully online. She didn't know that she needed a man to take care of her and to be fully in charge and to be in this role with her. Cognitively, like intellectually, it's like that was kind of triggering the idea that she would need that, but instinctually that was there. It was just a little buried. And so my instinct came fully online. It came online because of my son. And it's really interesting under the conditions, because my son died 6 months into his life, and very tragic for both of us, obviously, and more importantly for him. He was actually the inspiration for everything that I am now doing. All of the lives that I have helped in my academy program, my followers on YouTube, Facebook, all my books, everything that I have done, he was the spark. And I actually believe, I have some certain spiritual beliefs, and I believe that he came into our life for that purpose, to set me on my purpose and get me out of Peter Pan mode, get me out of acting like a child. When he came into the world, he was born with brain damage. He was born with a genetic disorder. He was stuck in, what do you call it, the NICU for newborns on life support. And it was, I mean, any parent who's experienced anything like that, it's pretty much the worst nightmare that they could ever have. But that was what activated my masculine instinct, because it's like, there was, and the doctors, like, you know, doctors are doctors. A lot of them don't know what they're doing. You know, they're indoctrinated into a very limited way of understanding health and the human body. So anyway, there's a bunch of things that I understood that I knew would actually poison my child as far as the drugs that they wanted to put him on. They did put him on some drugs because there's just really no avoiding it. And there's other drugs where I'm like, no, there's no way that you're putting him on these. And so I felt that overwhelming desire to protect someone who wasn't me. And I never felt that before in my entire life. So that's my protector instinct. That's and of course, a woman's going to have that too. I'm not saying like that a woman's not going to have that protector instinct. Absolutely, she is going to. But that is masculine energy, right? Whenever you have to go into protector mode, that it's like, you know, mama bear energy, and nothing wrong with it. You know, nothing wrong with a woman having to be in masculine energy some of the time, especially with your children. You have to be, especially with newborns. But the ideal is you've got a man who goes into that energy so that you don't have to. And that was one of the things that I noticed with my wife. Like, she's so assertive in so many ways, so able to take charge. You know, she worked for a corporation running programs and doing sales stuff and all that. And when I fully took charge, she just leaned back. And it was just like, let me fully lead. And, you know, she was able to be sad and all of that kind of stuff. And I was the one that was taking charge throughout that entire process. And that's what set me on this path, because I realized for the first time, this is what it's supposed to feel like. Like, even though it was the most traumatic, horrible, painful, grieving event, like his entire 6 months, there's good things during his life as well. But those first few weeks especially, and then obviously his death, absolutely horrible. But throughout it, I experienced a profound change in myself where I felt like a man, essentially, instead of just this guy who's just going with the flow with everything. No, it's like a man who is protecting those that he cares about. And it wasn't even just protecting my son. What it activated in me is like wanting to lead and take care of my wife, because like she's grieving as well, and obviously going through hardship and all this kind of stuff. And I wanted to make her life easier. I wanted to lead the dynamic so that she doesn't have to. And so all these parts of me started to come online. So the reason I share all this, I mean, it's useful just to know a bit of my background, but it's so that you understand a man's masculine instinct, like he can be inspired into this level of devotion. Because now it's like, I'm taking care of my wife, my daughter, you know, hundreds of women clients, and I've stepped into this massive role of responsibility where I just want to take care of people, especially women, especially the innocent, especially the vulnerable. Now I feel that really strong desire to do it. What was it that activated that? Well, it was my son, obviously someone I really love, but it's like my son who is so unbelievably vulnerable and helpless. And if not me, then who's going to properly take care of him? Who's going to protect him from bad decisions? It was vulnerability that inspired me into responsibility. Okay, this is important. This is really important. So first of all, if you've got a man who's not fully in that responsibility right now, that's okay. You can inspire him to be. How are you going to do that? Well, I'll tell you what's never going to inspire a man into doing that. Unless his instinct, well, even if his instinct is already fully online, he might be in that caretaking role, but he's not going to be fully inspired, because even though some of that is going to need to be internal, his instinct has to be online, a lot of it must come from you at the same time. So, like, as an example, when my instinct came fully online with my wife, I felt this desire to want to fully step into this role with her, but because it was easier actually those first 3 weeks during that traumatic event, and he's in the hospital and everything. Once he came home, and like it kind of, things reverted where like she's the main caretaker, and like I'm not leading in the same way. I'm like out making money, stuff like that. That's where like so many of the fights and everything came up, because now she's not being vulnerable. She's not sharing her sensitivities in a way that I can receive as a man. She's not being respectful in the way that I need. And so I wasn't inspired. I just got angry. It's like, because I wanted to be in this role so badly, but I was so angry that she was resisting it, that she was judging, that she wasn't meeting my needs as a man, my need for respect, my need for vulnerability, to receive her vulnerability, to feel her vulnerability, to feel her heart. And, it's because I picked a woman that matched my wounds. It's just all of a sudden I worked through a lot of my wounds very quickly, and my instinct was online. So this is to say that vulnerability is what inspires that responsibility. And if you are being the cool girl, if you are being the chill girl, if you are being stoic, if you are avoiding rocking the boat because you think that you are too much, that you are too sensitive, that your sensitivity is unattractive, it's unappealing, it's not as inspiring, it's going to cause a man to think less of you, not want to be with you, be angry at you, abandon you. If that's the case, then you're going to be stifling his devotion, because he's not going to feel a place for him. A man needs to feel needed. Understand that this is a man's need. And I don't mean this in a codependent way. People get so stuck in this whole codependency thing. Codependency is separate from instinct. We still have needs. We need things from the other person. We're not supposed to be like some hyper-independent, both men and women. We're able to fully take care of our own needs, and we don't, we're all islands. We can all just fully take care of ourselves. We're all fully emotionally self-sufficient. That's not the way that it's supposed to be. That's not polarized. That's not healthy. That's not the way that we were designed to relate to each other. A man needs to feel needed. He needs to feel his woman's need for him. That does not mean that a woman is being clingy. Like, a woman can feel needy. There's nothing wrong with feeling needy. But you're not like doing that grasping thing. I'm not talking about a needy woman. Obviously, it's not even that you're needy. A graspy, clingy woman, because those are control patterns that are unattractive. You're putting your feelings onto a man. Which, by the way, is one of the ways that women can think that they are being vulnerable and open, and then they get a bad reaction, and then they think, I just need to play it cool. No, you don't have to play it cool. You just need to communicate properly in a way that a man can understand and actually receive and is inspired by. So, masculine men need a woman who's vulnerable. They need to feel needed, and it's your vulnerability, it's your sensitivity that is actually communicating that to him. When you are sensitive, little things are going to emotionally affect you. When a man does something where he's off center, or he forgets something, he breaks his word in some kind of way. It could all be innocent, but he's not showing up perfectly. You feel sensitive towards that. You feel some anxiety, you feel some anger, you feel some sadness, you feel shame, whatever it is that you feel. If you then go into being graspy, clingy, or asking a whole bunch of questions, or judging, or blaming, or manipulating, or all this other stuff, I call these control patterns, this is going to push a man away. This is what most women do when they think that they are sharing their feelings. What they're actually doing typically is they're sharing judgments. And this can even be with I feel statements. So one thing that we do in our academy program for women is, like, the very basic level, we're teaching women to make I feel statements, because it's a way of tapping into your vulnerability. I feel sad, or I feel angry. But what many women do when they're sharing feelings is they'll share feelings that aren't feelings. Like, I feel judged, or I feel disrespected. And those are just judgments. And so when you share that with a man, it's like, he's not going to respond well. And then you think, well, I guess I should have been playing it cool. I guess I shouldn't have been so sensitive. I shouldn't be sharing all this stuff. No, you can share all of this stuff. You just need to be able to share it in a truly vulnerable way, in a truly responsible way, in a truly feminine way. And you're probably not doing it unintentionally. You're doing it because you don't know a language for this. You don't know how to communicate fully vulnerably. You don't feel that safety to fully open up in your heart. And so what happens is judgments come out. And it's really interesting, just as a side note, one of the things that happens on discovery calls, actually, okay, I'm going to save this. I'm going to explain something, and then I'm going to talk about what happens on discovery calls. So if you are interested in working with me now or at any point, you go below this video, open up a description, click relationshipofyourdreams.com. That's a link that's going to take you to a really important video where you're going to hear from my clients about what's actually possible, the amazing shifts that you can have. And then you can book a call below that video, and it's totally free. It's with me. We'll talk all about what's going on in your love life. I'll give you some coaching. I will show you specifically everything that I talk about in this video and other videos, how it applies to you and what you need to do to shift. And from that, if I believe that we can help you make these shifts in our Academy program, we can talk all about it, and you can work with us, and we can help you make these shifts really quickly. I would love to work with you if that's the case. And so on these discovery calls, that's relationshipyourdreams.com. On these discovery calls, one of the things that women will do is they'll be like really grateful, and they will share a judgment about something great that's happening on this call. Like, wow, that was so great the way that you explained that, or like, you're amazing, or whatever, right? So they're giving a positive judgment, which is nice. It's like, I'm not offended by that. But then I will help them with their communication. And this is one of the great valuable parts of doing these calls. And of course I do it fully lovingly, but I'll say like, okay, so that was actually a judgment that you gave. I'm going to help you shift your communication to share that more vulnerably, in a more feminine way. And I'll be like, tell me what you were feeling in that moment when you shared that, like, this is really great, or this is fantastic. And they'll be like, well, I felt gratitude, or I felt a lot of hope, or I felt happy, or I felt whatever. And I'll be like, okay, here's how you can share that. I feel so much hope and so grateful for you sharing this. And then I'll ask them, tell me what you can feel, the difference in your body. How did that feel differently? And they'll say, oh, I felt so open. And a lot of the time they'll say, like, I actually felt fear. Like, I felt this exposed in this kind of way. Exposed isn't a feeling, but I understand what they're talking about. It's a feeling, this anxiety, this openness. And that's right, that's vulnerability, because like you're exposing your inner experience. That's what's happening. And it is scary. And so unconsciously, women are keeping their heart more closed to protect themselves from that level of vulnerability, because it's so scary to be that vulnerable. And so what women will do is they will often, like, one example of many, like, there's so many things that women will do to stay more closed and guarded and penetrative. You'll share judgments instead of feelings, like, I feel judged right now, or I feel like I said, I feel disrespected. And there's so many of these. And you think that you're being vulnerable, you think that you're opening up and sharing feelings, when really you're closed, you're being subtly energetically penetrative to protect yourself. But you end up creating the very thing that you're trying to avoid, which is a man getting irritated with you and critical, because he doesn't want to be judged. He doesn't want to be energetically penetrated by you. He doesn't want to feel that masculine energy from you. And by the way, this isn't justifying any of a man's negative reactions. If he dismisses you, if he deflects, if he gaslights, if he withdraws, all of that's on him. He's responsible for his own behaviors. But you also need to understand how you're co-creating these behaviors with him. You need to see your side of things. Just like a man, like if a man's, acting in kind of a uncentered way, and you then throw a fit and get angry at him, he's not responsible for you throwing a fit. That's your behavior, but he's still responsible for how he showed up in that co-creation. And if I was working with men, and I do work with men as well, I would say, like, you got to fix this. You got to approach your woman in a much more emotionally responsible, centered, loving way, so that, for you, first and foremost, it's just an act of self-respect, but then also so that a woman can open and be vulnerable, feel that safety. So, vulnerability. Vulnerability is inspiring. And I'm not going to go deep into this, and I touch on other videos as well. You kind of need to binge watch a lot of my videos to really get the full picture of what I'm talking about. I give bits and pieces, and I just go on different tangents and rants on a lot of different topics. But this vulnerability is what is going to inspire a man into stepping up, and it's also going to cause way more attraction. And this is assuming he's a masculine man, assuming his masculine instincts online. If it's not, you got big issues there. But if it's online, that is what is going to happen, assuming that you actually tap into it. Most women don't know what true vulnerability is, so they'll think they're being vulnerable, and then they try being vulnerable, and then they're like, well, it didn't work. I guess Zach on this video is wrong. No, either you got the wrong man, or you weren't actually being vulnerable, and it's probably that you weren't being vulnerable because it's a massive blind spot for women. Tell me so far, how are you receiving this? Tell me, does this make sense? Tell me, have you experienced these negative reactions from a man before? And also tell me specifically around playing it cool. Like, what have you noticed? How do men treat you when you play it cool? Did you notice that you tend to attract more emasculated men? That you're not really attracting really healthy masculine men who are stepping up to provide and take care of you? What has your experience been? That's really important for me to know. Of course, I have the experiences from my clients, which is a pretty good sample size, but I want to know more. And this is what will help me make future videos as well to tackle specific issues or resistance that you might be feeling. Let me know. Also, if you haven't liked this video yet, do that now. That helps me out, and that helps the algorithm out. That helps other women find these videos. And I'm going to continue making sure it's a good one. And I'm assuming you like it already. If we're 25 minutes in, you probably are liking what I'm sharing with you. So give that back a little bit. Give me that like. And then also, more importantly, if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, subscribe now. Because guess what? It's not just this video that's great and helpful. I've got hundreds of them. And I'm going to have hundreds more that are coming out for you to show you all of the puzzle pieces about what you need to do to shift to inspire that kind of devotion from a man that you need. Because you can absolutely have it. So subscribe. Don't delay on that. And it's going to go in your For You page, and you're just going to see me more, and you're going to get a lot more of this amazing content where I'm just here to help you. I'm going to show you all of this. So the playing it cool thing, you learned it because you got bad reactions typically when you thought you were being vulnerable when really you weren't. So you learned a lesson, it was just the wrong lesson, and now you're doing something else that is not inspiring the devotion that you need and deserve. So what you need to do is let go of this control pattern. Basically, this whole cool girl thing, this more stoic, less sensitive side of you, this is a mask. This is a costume that you are wearing to stay safe, to avoid being abandoned, to get the love that you need and deserve. So first step is you've got to recognize that. You've got to see that for the costume that it is. You're not being fully real with a man. And this is something that you should be doing, like not having a mask, not having a costume, actually being vulnerable. This is what you need to be doing right from the beginning. I'm talking about dating profile. I'm talking about first date, in between, like a text exchange before the first date, the phone call. This isn't something you wait for like the fifth date where it's like you start being vulnerable, or even worse yet, and there's literally coaches teaching this. Wait till you're in a relationship before you start sharing your feelings with them. It's like, I'm going to trap him in my spider web, my relationship spider web, and then I'm going to be real with him. That's going to be fun. Then you're probably going to find out that he's not even capable of taking care of your feelings. You didn't properly vet him. The way that you vet a man isn't by trying to vet him. It's by you being fully real and seeing, can he handle this? Is this a man who likes hearing a woman's feelings, who enjoys her being sensitive when it's communicated respectfully and vulnerably? Because if it's not, you got to get away from that man. You need to go find someone else. Find a real man. Don't find a Peter Pan. Don't find a man who wants a mother. Find a man who wants to take care of a woman. And that kind of man is going to enjoy a woman's sensitivity. He's going to enjoy her feelings. He's going to enjoy her realness, assuming that when you are communicating, you're actually doing it in a way that is actually energetically vulnerable. That means using feminine communication. If you're not using feminine communication, well, it's probably not going to work very well for you, because men are wired to respond to feminine communication, and they're wired to resist, avoid, attack. I'm not saying that a man ever should attack you, but that's the instinct when he's being energetically penetrated. So you must learn feminine communication. It's a non-negotiable. You're going to learn a lot about feminine communication by continuing to watch further videos with me. Of course, if you want to learn everything about feminine communication and actually be led to learn this language and to apply it into your love life and to receive loving, very loving corrections from me and my team when you make mistakes, show you how to show up in your fullness, not through a script, but by connecting to who you fully are, truly are, your feminine essence as a woman. If you would like that help and to be held in that way, which makes this journey so much easier and so much faster, then remember, relationship of your dreams, below this video, you click that link in the description, watch the video, book a call with me. We'll find out if you're right for our program. And of course, I'd love to talk with you, and I would love to work with you if it turns out that you are a great fit. So you need to learn the difference, and you need to feel like so much, understand, I can give you words, right? The words, what they're really doing more than anything is they're helping you tap into that vulnerable energy. So another example of this is, and this can be somewhat triggering, but I'll give this example on certain videos. May I share something with you? Or may I have some help with something? May I have help with my feelings? May I have clarity about something? Feel the softness of that. Energetically, if you're using that language correctly, it should be opening you up. You should be feeling this receptivity, this vulnerability. If this idea triggers you, I'm not going to get into all the reasons for it on this video, though I do talk about it on other videos. Just know that even my academy students, a lot of them are initially triggered by the idea of being permissive with a man. It's an act of self-worth. That's what you need to know. And if you're triggered by it in any way, that's a wounding that you can heal if you choose to. You're worthy of being taken care of. You're worthy of a man who's doing everything he can to grant permission for the things that you need, take care of you in the way that you need, right? I'm not talking about being permissive because you're less than a man. It's about being permissive for you. It needs to feel good. So anyway, you got to feel in yourself that feeling of rightness when you're communicating. And right now, depending on where you're at, the idea of being permissive, like you're saying it in your mind and you're like, oh, that feels terrible. Okay, you might have some work to do, but you might be at a further level, further along. And the idea of being permissive, it's like, ooh, so much ease. That feels so good. I don't have to control. I don't have to lead. I don't have to penetrate. I just have to open. That's what feminine energy is. It's all about energetically opening. And there is no one, I'm going to talk myself up for a moment here. There is no one else on earth who can teach you feminine communication in this way, to this level. There's there's a lot of coaches teaching what they call feminine communication, and it's not feminine communication. It's softened masculine communication. There's these subtle judgments that they put in. Some teach permissiveness, most don't. It's just so I don't know if I've done other videos on it. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? They share feelings that aren't judgment. Some teach feminine communication where they're not even sharing negative feelings. They're just focused on gratitude and the positive. All of that is dishonoring yourself in some way. So there's nobody that is teaching this to this level, and I know it works because I am a man. My masculine instinct is fully online, and I can feel in my body how inspired I become by the way that my wife or a client speaks to me. That's why I know how to teach this, and I've spent 5 years doing it. I've spent 5 years in my relationship and nearly 5 years, more than 5 years in my marriage doing this, and almost 5 years teaching this in my academy program for women, thousands and thousands of coaching hours honing this language so that I can teach this as easily as possible to women, to help you tap into your body and feel the resonance. That's all we're doing, is helping you tap into that resonance and being who you really are. We're not covering up who you are with scripts. We're uncovering the stuff that's in the way of who you really are, tapping into that beautiful, vulnerable self so that you can express that beautiful, vulnerable self with a man. Of course, there's no one else who's going to teach it better than in my academy program, which again, relationshipyourdreams.com. But even if you're not ready for that right now, and many are not going to be, that's also okay, because you can continue to learn from my videos and my other offers as well, which is also on that website. There's other things that you can do, my books and my dating course and my Masterclass. I don't plan to continue doing it, but there's other things that you can do, or you can also just continue watching these videos for free. Never pay me anything. That's okay. and learn so much. And I give so much away. Because the information is like, the real value of the academy, way beyond the information, is that you're being led every step of the way, that you're being held every step of the way. So I can afford to give away information for free on these videos and paint you this picture of how to make these shifts and why you should be making these shifts and why you're stuck. And I'll attract the people that really want to be held by us and led by us and get the royal treatment, so to speak. So keep watching these videos at a minimum and understand that anything other than your sensitive, vulnerable self is wounding. Here's going to be the final message here. Save the best for last. Your sensitivity is not a wound. Now, you might have wounding on top of your emotional responses, which make you hypersensitive, but the sensitivity in general, just that you're getting emotionally affected by stuff, it's like, of course you are. You're a woman. Nothing wrong with that. It's beautiful. A masculine man is going to appreciate that when you're able to communicate that vulnerably. Do not think that your sensitivity is a bad thing. It is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful part of you. That's what one of the things that makes women so beautiful is that they can be so sensitive, that they can be so emotionally affected by things, by a man. And it's also your sensitivity that will guide a man. Not guide, that's the wrong word, but inspire a man, inform a man in a feminine way of how he can be better. Like my wife, if she didn't have any feelings, if she was just played it cool all the time, I wouldn't know how to be a better man for her. So how would I know? But because she's sharing the things that, her irritation and her sadness and her anxiety, the things that I do that cause that, it allows me to reflect and be like, well, okay, I don't want her to feel that stuff. Here's what I can do to be a better man for her, to be a more solid man, more contained man, a more proactive man, instead of continuing to create these feelings for her. That doesn't mean that every single feeling I'm going to cater to. Like there's some things where it's just things need to be done. I can still always give reassurance, right? If I need to make certain investments, for example, if I believe it's the right choice, I'm going to make it no matter what. But if she feels anxious, I'm still going to give her care and reassure her and give her information about how this is going to be okay, and I'm still going to be taking care of her, and it's all good. And sometimes I'll be like, oh, that's actually a really valid fear. I'm actually going to self-reflect and maybe change this investment strategy, right? Literally, it's not like a woman's feelings are useless. Like these are just useless feelings that need to be taken care of. Oftentimes they're pointing to something that's extremely important. Men will often disregard a woman's feelings, and almost always will if a woman's not communicating them vulnerably. Even sometimes when she does, a man isn't fully online to be able to consider a woman's feelings in that way. But I increasingly, and this is something for me to work on as well, because it's not, I have work to do in this department, we'll say that, where I consider my wife's feelings and be like, okay, this, like I should actually shift something with what I'm doing because it's actually unsafe or it's some kind of problem in some kind of way. Like this is pointing to something really real. And my intuition, my instinct, my thoughts on it weren't fully correct now that I understand my wife's perspective and my wife's feelings. So your sensitivity is beautiful. Don't hide it. You are worthy and deserving of showing yourself fully. If you are feeling like you need to hide any of yourself behind a mask, behind a costume with a man, then something is wrong. Something is wrong in that relationship or that dating dynamic. You need to commit to yourself that you are 100% fully going to be the beautiful, sensitive you that you are. You need to let that sensitive you come out. You need to learn how to fully feel everything. Tell me how that message lands for you. I want that to feel really good. Before we wrap things up, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like if you haven't already. Make sure that you subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. If you're ready for that call with me, relationshipyourdreams.com. I'll see you there, and keep watching these videos. I'm going to keep putting out good ones for you. That's it. It's great connecting with you. I'll see you for the next one.